platform. So hopefully through this process, not only can we play back a demo for you for iSubby, but also I can hopefully impart some wisdom from that customer journey side that I've had before.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just trying to find that email that you sent me for a login onto my laptop for this chat. I just can't find it for some reason.
Need to resend the invite? Or
If
you want
you don't mind. Actually, I think I found it. Is that the one?
If you go to calendar.google.com, it should hopefully be in your calendar.
Yeah, it's popped up now. Sorry about that. It was yeah, I've got the email and I've got that. It just won't give me the login for it. It won't give me the link.
Let me get that.
If you could just resend it. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just. Just sent it. It should be coming your way very soon.
Kim, do you want to do a quick intro or just getting that set up?
No stress. Hey, I'm Kim. I'm also a solution engineer, but I focus in on our service products. So things such as ticketing, for example, all the way over to the delivery of services. So scheduling out your technicians and getting them to complete all their work as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the area that I focus in on. And similar to Alex, I've also been at Salesforce for 3 years now. So yeah, now it's on Google Meets. Does this thing that once you kind of enter after a certain number of people, it auto mutes you.
Everyone can hear me okay?
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
I can't hear. Just another test. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm totally here. Any questions that you have for me, yeah, and I'll freely answer them. You know, I find that's, you know, when I'm trying to get a product across to a customer for mine, I find that's the best way. If they're just totally open and honest, and I'll try to just tell you exactly what we're trying to achieve and where our fears are and how we can, you know, where we think we can't do it at the moment.
Jamie, you want to share a quick intro and then we get started? She's on the road a bit now. But.
Sure. Apologies, I'm just in an Uber. But my name's Jamie Mervin. I'm one of the Service Cloud account executives based in Sydney. I've been with Salesforce now almost 4 years and do a lot of work with Kim and my Service Cloud team on field service businesses. So excited to be a part of today's conversation, and I'll probably jump in and have some more questions for you.
Yeah, no, thank you for everyone for coming into this one.
Yeah. So just to introduce everything, maybe like you'll be able, maybe to do a bit of a quick introduction as well, Victor. But what you shared in the previous discussion is that like so what you do is you provide tradie services. So you connect people to tradies through the platform that you have online. So you want to be the Uber of tradies. You've got about 9,000 to 11,000 jobs a year roughly that you manage that range between $300 to, I think you mentioned $20,000 to $30,000 each.
Oh, they can go up to even as recently, it can go up to about 63,000. We've had one recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's, you've been growing. You've got a number of systems in place, but what you're finding is that what's been, I would say, slowing down your growth is all the manual processes that you have internally, all the people that you have internally that have to work inefficiently, and that every time you're growing the business, the costs that you have associated to that are increasing exponentially as well, and means that hiring much more people and all, and that's been a bit of a blocker, particularly in today's global context. So that you were looking at ways to do things better. So I've shared pretty much some notes with the team, but maybe you can tell us like a little bit more about yourself, the company, like as an intro, and I think from and what you're trying to achieve, and from there maybe the team will take it over.
Let me just put this on silent. Give me a second. I guess I just have the a clear vision of we want to become like the Uber of where everyone's like you have Colgate, like what do you use? You use Colgate. You know? We want to be that kind of brand. And I feel as though it's a very scary market to be in. So not many people have entered it. No one wants to really be part of it in a big way because there's a lot of liabilities in what we do. Like the worst case scenario in an Uber is someone might get kidnapped or hurt or something like that. I'm just being honest, you know what I mean? Like that's the downside. In our one, because we're working with trades and we're working with restricted trades where the government sanctioned trades, where there's a lot of liability if someone doesn't do a certain step and someone gets hurt or there's a gas leak and the house goes on fire, then they're not very reasonable when it comes to that. The government's comes down on companies very, very hard. So we've proven ourselves to be able to do it. So we have a proven record, you know. So we have a $12 million a year turnover on average, drops down to 7 million when there's a bad year, which we're starting to hit now because of the interest rates. But so we've proven ourselves, you know, we can do this. We have done everything and we've come through on the other side. But now it's a matter of I guess branding, which is not so much you guys, but it's a matter of making it work in a way that's not financially going to sink the company because the costs are so high in hiring, you know, local trade, like office staff. Yeah.
And when you talk about like the branding, saying like, what do you mean by that in terms of how people discover your brand and then like reach out to your service? Is that what you're talking about?
In terms of branding, I just want to be sort of known as that person, you know, like people are sitting around going, hey, you know, we've got an issue, you know, like an issue around the house or whatever it may be. And everyone's like, well, of course you use these guys, you know what I mean? These guys are the sort of the go-to guys.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, you don't really say, oh, do you have a soda? You say, can I have a Coke? You basically want people to go, you want people to go around the table like, oh man, you know, this fuse box is busted. No, I need to get a subby, right? Like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Like people use the word Colgate instead of toothpaste, or people use the word, you know, Uber's really the only go-to brand, you know, or Airbnb or whatever it is, you know. So that's the aim. It's a market that I think is totally open, that no one's touched it throughout the world at this stage properly. So I think it's there. And I sort of know the reason why people haven't touched it is because the liability is so high. It's throughout the Western world, the government is sanctioned it strongly. So the little tradies that do their own work, you know, they're sort of like responsible for their own work. But when you start doing it on a large scale and you start to have communication errors and lack of quality control, then a lot can go wrong, you know. But on the advantage is because we have a lot more data points than everyone else because we do so much work comparatively, our work is exponentially better than everyone else in terms of how quickly we get it done, the quality of work, the quality of the trade, matching the right tradie with the right person, the checklists, even the latest updates to the government regulations. We have the money and resources to stay on top of that, while the general 95% of the industry does not have or almost 99% of the industry does not have the time to stay on top of the government regulations that are changing every couple of months or every couple of weeks. So they're walking into their jobs just like they're busy just running and working and running their business and keeping their employees happy. But we have research and, you know, development teams to make sure that we have that edge on everyone else, you know.
Yeah. And I guess just like for my own curiosity to understand where you guys fit in the landscape of like trades work in general, how do you position yourself compared to the likes of, you know, like High Pages or Airtasker?
That's a great question. The simple answer is they are Airtasker and High Pages is matching like a client of some kind to a tradie, and that's it. You know what I mean? They leave it at that. The most they would do is vet the tradie for insurance and make sure they are qualified in that trade, and then they match the two together. And after that, they sort of leave you to that. You know, whatever happens from there is up to you and the tradesman. You know, ours is from the moment from the moment the client, searches us up, the phone call is taken by my company. The assignment, the human that assigns the role to our tradesman or makes a decision on how we're going to quote it, or if we're going to quote it from someone in the office that's qualified, or we're going to give it to someone to quote it, that decision is made by us. Once the job is sold, it's our responsibility as a company to make sure it's done. So if something goes wrong timing, wrong material, wrong person, wrong asset, anything goes wrong, we've got 24 hours that will be there being, hey, what's wrong? Well, someone came to my house last night, they fixed the driveway, but they left the gutter on top of now I can't reverse my car. And I got to go to work in half an hour, a million things go wrong, especially in trade. So we're there. We're there all the way down to the invoice. That's us. We pay whoever's involved in that process, whether it's an employee or a subcontractor, all the way down to a review online as well. That's us, So essentially we are responsible, from beginning to end, so all these pain points we've managed to solve,
Yeah.
So you
I
take
guess that-
ownership of the whole project, pretty much.
Yeah, so if you use Airtasker or High Pages at any given point, if the tradie rocks up to site and he quotes it in a way that you're not happy with, or whatever's gone wrong, or they come to site late, there's no one you can complain to except that tradesman, High Pages won't step in at that point, but we will, So on High Pages credit, if you do complain to them saying this tradesman the problem, they might take them off their list, but that's pretty much as they'll take it, So
Right.
for us, we are essentially, if you have a problem with your Uber will then get involved and make sure you get a refund, or they'll sort that out, somehow, some way. So they're responsible. They're a full responsible. Airbnb is responsible. If you damage the house, Airbnb will step in and, cover it. Obviously there'll be consequences to the person that damaged it, But anyway, end of the day, the client wants to know who is responsible. Where can I complain to if something goes wrong?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And I'm going to just play it back to you the way I'm thinking it works based on what you just explained for all of our benefit. But effectively, I guess where the similarities are with you and maybe other providers is the fact that you have this kind of subcontracted force of tradies who are self-insured. They are certified in their own right, and obviously for both of those, you're doing the validation. But the distinction between the other providers like Airtasker and High Pages is you manage the end-to-end customer relationship, and you make sure to match the right tradie to the right job for the customer. And if there's anything that goes wrong, while from a public liability or a damages perspective, the tradie will be responsible. You manage that. You mediate.
No, even at that point, we're responsible. It's under our insurance, our company.
Right. Okay.
Everything is under our responsibility.
Right. Okay.
So,
but you're still leaning on the fact that you're still making sure that the guys are certified and have their insurance as well.
Yeah.
Or do they lean on your insurance entirely?
they have their insurances.
Okay. Cool.
But we are the safety net. If something goes wrong, we do have the insurances to cover majority of the damages. So. Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty awesome then from a customer standpoint, right? Because it means you're taking out all of the headache and guesswork that could come with dealing with, 20 different offers that come through on Airtasker from tradies that you do or don't know.
Yeah, and then exactly, that's exactly right. And we've really put ourselves through the grinder because we run this model now. That's how we run our ship now.
Yeah.
And so we've gone through every kind of scary situation there is, and we've come out on top. So it's a proven record, and also we have more data points. We have compared to a normal company that might do 100 jobs a year. If we're doing, we've had years we've done 22,000 jobs in a year, so our data points are extensive. So when a tradie comes to site and if we forcefully ask them to go through a checklist, that checklist is updated every day or every week. While a competing company might do it every 3 years, So our data points to make sure, hey man, did you take out your pen out of your pocket, check the piece of copper before you touch it with your hand so you don't get electrocuted, you know what I mean? So those kind of data points, it's very
is that actually how they do it?
Yeah, so if you go to, even in plumbing, so if you look at the side of your house, you've got some copper on the side of your house, or even your gutter.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have like, you know, one of your wires in your house that's touching something metal by mistake, or it's exposed over time, or a rat's eaten it. So it's touching a piece of metal, and the current is sort of slowly trickling its way through those brackets, those metal brackets, into your gutter or into your copper pipe. You look at it, you're like, oh, whatever. That's a gas pipe. That's a water pipe. It's nothing. Or it's a gutter. You know, it's nothing. You touch it, and you get electrocuted. I mean, so so then you got to take out your pen, your electrical pen, touch it. Yep, it's safe. And then, because we've had that happen on site. One guy, we've had two or three guys get electrocuted, you know, touching a gutter and stuff like that. You know, that's happened over years. You know, so yeah.
Wow, that's pretty scary. All right, thank you for validating that. That helps me kind of like dive into the next part with a lot more kind of clarity and a good pathway. I do want to come back and circle back on what you were talking about around data points, because I'd love to understand that in a bit more depth. But what I'd love to start from the top. So firstly, customer base, is it like purely residential, or are you doing a mix of commercial / property management?
So in a simplistic way, I'll try to explain it in a way that you would make sense to you, which is like, I'm a general person, a mum and dad, a general consumer, a tenant, you know what I mean? And I've got an emergency, so they'll call us. That's your base, you know, basic client, whoever it may be. Then you've got your second type of client, which is a real estate agent or a strata, or like a middleman between, you know, like a body corporate that looks after a property on behalf of people. So you've got that kind of client. And then on the other end, I guess we're doing less of that at the moment because we're much better at this kind of stuff. But you've got your very high. Well, how would I define it? Give me a sec. So you got 1, 2, 3. Then you've got your new builds where they're building a new property from scratch. We're slowly getting a bit more reputation in that, but we're not totally skill set in that, and nor is our project management software good enough to handle those projects because they require so many stages. So that's sort of a restriction that we have there. And then you've got your high ticket clients that, you know, the high ticket items are like, you know, if you're a consumer, your high ticket item would be something that you think about for a long time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So if you're getting a bathroom renovation, if you're restoring your roof, make it look all nice and shiny again, if you're doing a kitchen renovation, you're thinking about it for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, you know, so you got that set of clients. And, they're a really good client to win, but it's, you know, impossible to win it unless you have lots of Facebook and social media and reviews, because that's, people are spending months just, you know, going online and looking at your reviews and looking at your history and what you like and do they like you as a company and all that kind of stuff. And that's my experience of it. So that's your 4 types of clients, and I can sort of break it down as well on how it affects the company as well. Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to understand, if you know from like a high level, what's kind of like your split as a percentage of jobs across those 4 categories? Yeah.
So it's going to be your normal human consumer, your mum and dad, your normal, I need an emergency done, is about, so you got your 3 splits. You got your consumer, you've got your
strata, new builds, and high ticket jobs.
Yeah. So you got, sorry, I just had a mind blank. So you got your consumer, you got your tenants, you got your real estates, and then you got your and then you got your high ticket. So okay, so we'll start with consumers, is running from about 40%. At the moment. It's been up to 60% in the past. Right now, you're looking about 25% for real estate and strata. 40%, 25%. And then you're looking at about 7% for new builds, and the high ticket stuff, you're looking 20%. So that will equal about, I guess, 95% or something like that. You know?
Yeah. Perfect. So let's center the majority of the discussion around your residential, I guess, because that's probably most relevant. But if there are distinctions, please do call it out when we go through the questions, so we can try to cater for it as well. Firstly, especially on the residential side, where I think it's probably most relevant, how do your, if I'm looking for a trader, like how would I discover iSubby at the moment?
Oh, so we've got our brand names out there. So if you're looking for roofing, you can just search up local Melbourne roof plumber. And then our website will come up, and that's how you find us currently, through there. And
So
then,
like keyword search on Google.
yeah. Okay, yeah, you can just search the word local Melbourne roof plumber. Or you can just search up Melbourne roof repairs or whatever you may search. We should be up there, in the rankings, in the top 3 or so.
Is that being paid via AdWords or is
Yes,
that just
yeah. So don't click that. That'll cost me money. Go through the other way. Just go through the SEO. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And like, what other channels are you currently marketing on for your residential customers? Are you doing anything on socials?
Yeah, lots on social. Yeah. So we've got Facebook and all that. So for that brand, yes, we do have Facebook and everything else as well.
Yeah. So Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What else is there? I guess that's it. That's
That's probably the main 3.
Yeah.
And what's kind of like?
Oh, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube.
Oh, YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And you guys are doing all of that content in-house yourself, or are you outsourcing it to another?
Almost, yeah, I'd say 95% of it's in-house. Yeah. We haven't found anybody that's very good at it as a marketing company yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And in terms of like, would you know off the top of your head kind of like the number of leads that would be generated on a weekly basis via Google versus your socials, like as a percentage split or a number?
Yes, I do. Yeah, so it's about 75, 25. So
75 Google?
75 Google and 25 social.
25. Yep. And what's that as like an actual number of leads or inquiries coming through? Are we talking about like 100, 400, 500?
So on average, we'd get about booked in jobs, would get about 30 jobs a day.
Yeah. And that's across both channels, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just say I'm not going to do it, don't worry. I go and do searching for like a roof tiler, for example, to do some like restoration on my roof.
Yeah.
Find iSubby. What's kind of the process?
No, so you would find local Melbourne roof plumber. You would find these landing websites that you have.
Yeah.
We're not to confuse everyone right now, but because we're sort of aiming for the stars, and that's why this conversation is happening. We want to sort of become like a bit of a big deal. So we want to sort of aim for this $100 million point, and so we're consolidating all of it into one brand. And we haven't done that yet, but right now what you'll see is companies called like My Melbourne Plumber, My Local Melbourne Roof Plumber. These are all our landing pages for each one, at the moment. But we've got the same thing in Canberra as well. And so I can give you all the websites now. But it's all right as we speak. It's being consolidated into one big brand as we speak.
Yeah.
And the website will be live as early as Friday. I guess this conversation is happening based on the fact that now we're like, hey, let's shoot for the stars. Let's make a brand or die trying. So
yeah. No, awesome. Love it. So
what would be the name of
your landing pages are the ones? Oh, sorry, Taha.
Sorry, Alec. What would be the name of the new website that you're launching on Friday?
Kind of controversial, but it might be online right now. But people might not like it. But we named it Holy Mess. That's the brand name. HOLYMESS repairs.
.com.au.
.com.au. So it might be online right now. You might be able to see it now. Yeah.
Do a Google search and click on the link.
You might just have to go www.holymessrepairs.com.au. It might not even be searchable just as yet.
I think it might be.
Yeah. So that's a brand I went for. I know it's a bit controversial. A lot of people don't have said, it's a bit controversial, but I was sort of going for the Aussie humor. I was going for like, why would a company that's a mess be looking after my house, getting that bit of a negative energy to get attention on us? And then hopefully that can sort of take us somewhere.
Yeah, nice. That's really cool.
Question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Does that mean your customers go on to holymess.com and then where does your trades pick up the work?
Trades come from that's the iSubby. So if trades, so we have a team of people that totally just focus on trades. There's about ranges from about 7 to 9 people that full-time just recruiting trades. In terms of people that are scheduling jobs, that's about 22 people alone. That's a different department. So right now, anytime we speak to a subby, hey, how's it going? You know, we're from iSubby, blah, blah, blah. They come in through that channel. That's for them. That's not for the client. And when they ask us, hey, who are you guys? Are you guys a scam? You know, what are you guys all about? Then we sort of lead them to, this is how we present to the world. This is where you play your part. You know?
Okay, got it. So it's kind of two sites. One's customer facing, one's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's a bit of a jumble, but essentially, you know, eventually, I guess in this moment now, we're going to just reconcile all of our ideas into this one. Even our tradies will probably end up coming through the channel of Holy Mess Repairs. You know?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So all that other stuff will eventually, you know,
fall into place.
Yeah, just, you know, that's how we started. We've always had this plan for like 7 years, and now we're pushing it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is why Kim and I work together quite a lot, because that was literally the question I was about to ask. So thank you, Kim. Cool. So I land on, you know, Holy Mess. I need, you know, urgent repair or not. I know from notes that I got from Taha, you have a lot of people calling through and stuff. But if I go ahead and, like, you know, just non-urgent work, I'll log a request via your website. What happens from that point? I fill up the web form. It goes to your team via email or whatever it is at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's that process look like?
So that will go straight to our operations center. So operations center has right now has about 17 people in there, and the operations staff, it just goes to this is where the inefficiencies start. So there's 17 people there. All 17 people will get that notification. Whoever's available will action it within a minute. You know, like we try to action things. You know, a normal company will action it between 3 hours to 12 hours or 15 hours. Ours is like we want to action that within a minute, 5 minutes max. You know, so just trying to, you know, set ourselves apart from the competition in terms of it's highly competitive industry, and, you know, first person the customer hears from is usually going to win, you know, a lot of the times.
Yep.
So we want to just get in there straight away.
Okay, so the ops team will get the notification. What do they do once they, like, you know, pick it up?
So they'll get it. They'll reply back to the group actions, and then they'll book it into our system, our CRM system, like equivalent to your Salesforce, which we call Aeroflow. They'll book it in, then they'll create a chat on our on Google Chat with, you know, it's not linked. It'll just create a manual chat. It'll have the address and everything. It will add the relevant people into the chat, and then the operations manager will then look at the CRM system and go, oh, look, a new booking has come in. They can only see it visually. It's not a notification. A new booking's come in, and the operations manager now has to decide what to do with this task, you know, whether it's whatever it may be. And whoever's relevant has been added to that chat as well, so they can communicate in the chat and, you know, do whatever needs to be done.
Is this then, so how do you determine the availabilities of your tradies?
How do we determine? We have, so the operation manager has a bit of knowledge about what's going on and the general flow of the company, and that they know about the tradies' days. So they sort of make a gut feeling check saying, hey, let's talk to these tradies, or they'll put it onto the job saying, can we call everybody that's associated with this kind of job? And then depends on the urgency. If it's urgent, they'll put it on the chat for the support staff to start calling the tradies. Are you available? Are you available? If the tradie is not available, if that's urgent. If non-urgent, then we might just send out a mass email to that group of tradies that live within that area that meet that category. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm.
But for the most part, do you have any tradies that work primarily on the jobs that you post out, or are they doing, for the most part, lots of different jobs from everyone else?
No, we do have a dedicated amount of tradies. So on any given day, would have probably it's hard to know the figures, but up to about 60 people that are tradies that are working for about 22 different companies that their whole life revolves around us. I mean, they don't have anybody else except us.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So because over time we've just built that relationship, we've made their life awesome because they don't deal with everything that we deal with. Like that they don't have to advertise, they don't have to take calls, they don't have to deal with 1 o'clock calls in the morning, they don't have to invoice, they don't have to do anything. So we do the whole processes. So their life is dedicated to doing the work, and they're happy. And so now we've got like quite a good dedicated force that everybody's there. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. And with these, how many are these all direct contractors, or do you ever go through contracting agencies at all?
Contracting agencies, no. I don't
You know, like let's say like Builder has a whole list of their tradies, for example. Do you ever reach out to like a company with their tradies?
I guess it's a good question. In the first, off the top of my head, we've never done that. No, we've never done that. No.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess off the top of my head, the reason we've never done that is there'll be too many middlemen. Communication issues will happen in situations like that. So we want to sort of directly communicate with the brains on site and not have too many middlemen involved. And yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I had a question just to rewind a little bit, Victor. You mentioned that ops staff will get a notification once somebody fills out the form on the website. Is that notification in Narrowflow, or is it like an email notification?
So when someone fills out a form, it gets automatically forwarded to our operations group email,
Yeah.
and that's it, pretty much. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess sometimes there could be, I imagine that you sometimes have staff that are both replying to the same thing because they can't see that somebody's already taken it, potentially.
I don't know if that happens, but what definitely does happen is no one actions it because someone thinks someone else is going to action it. Yeah,
Probably the worst.
yeah, then the manager gets involved and saying, hey, why is everyone not actioning this? This is pretty bad. And it does happen. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, sometimes it blows out to 6 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, and which is beyond. There's no reason for that to happen because we've got enough staff to handle it for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely just, it could be just like people are sitting back not doing anything, and also that there isn't some kind of trigger. That I know organizations have triggers where it just red alerts until someone actions it. You know what I mean? As an organization, so, we want to have some kind of system there. There's a lot of that processes throughout the organization where that happens, and we've tried manual things that never works. Like, for example, we might have groups like you three are one group, you three are the morning shift, night shift, and we split up the shifts. That doesn't work as well because in a team of that big, 3 people call in sick every day, and sometimes it's the one team that's called in sick that that the entire team's called in sick. So then, because we are on demand, we're not like in that role. It's not a creative role where we're on demand. We have to be behind the phone every single moment. So we've tried in terms of splitting teams, which just leads to more and more problems in terms of people just not being there. They're sick, whatever it is.
Yeah, and because you guys are 24/7, does that mean you actually have people in the office kind of doing graveyard shift, or?
Yeah, so I've got 2 graveyard shift guys. Yeah.
Okay, and I noticed also on the notes that we have, you guys also take a lot of calls directly from customers, especially with urgent issues like a busted pipe or whatever like that.
Yeah.
What kind of system are you guys using in the office to manage those calls? Is it like a soft phone system?
Soft phone. So everyone's got their VoIP. Everyone's got their headsets. Everyone's also got it on their mobile phones. Again, it's a little bit inefficient, but I'm not really sure what to do with that one. Like, all 18 call center staff get the call at once. So whoever's available, just pick it up. So it sort of disturbs everyone, because we've made it like we have a very highly trained staff that takes about a year and a half to get them up to scratch. So even though they only take calls for a little part of the day, they're trained in all these other tasks like project management, and all these, getting reviews from clients. So they're trained in all these tasks. So they're definitely busy all the time, but they're also, their phone's ringing and sort of annoying them all the time as well. And what I find is, again, if I try to say, okay, you guys are dedicated call center, or you guys are going to, someone might say, I need to block out my time. I need 2 hours of quiet time, in that team. And we've tried this stuff in the past and just miss call. We can't have missed calls, especially in this organization. It has to be like based on the cost of thing and the way we built this organization from, $0 to here, we cannot have missed calls. It's just not,
of course.
not right. Yeah.
Do you know what system you're using for VoIP?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's Zapier, and Zapier is the software on the thing, and then we've got a soft phone on your mobile, and then the company we use is VoIP. VoIP line, VoIPLINE.
Yeah, perfect. And I think I already know the answer to this question, but I imagine that once they've had the call and everything like that, it's up to the rep to then manually go in and punch in all the details and then also punch in the notes on the call and stuff, right?
Exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So once they book it into the CRM, it'll have all the details, and we have a very strict criteria of the questions we ask the client, so that we're well informed of what this client really wants. It's quite an extensive process. There'll be about up to 15 questions we'll ask the client before we book it in, and then they'll book it into the CRM, and then the operations manager and everybody can see it on the calendar as well. Anybody can see it, whoever's got their logins. And then once they see it on the calendar, that's sort of their visual prompt to go and do something about it. There's no notifications. So unless they visually see it, they can miss it. And then the person who booked in the job also creates a chat, on Google Chat, which is, it's only linked by, it's all manual, there's no linkage, they don't know that each other exists. Right? Yeah.
Question: when you book in that job initially, are you allocating a trade off the back of it, or how long does it take to then allocate a trade?
So when you book in a job, are you allocating a trade on the back of it?
Yeah. So for example, you get the client to give all their details.
Mm-hmm.
How long until the client gets a specific date, time, and who's going to be there?
Oh, okay, yeah. So when the client books it in, if it isn't like it's an urgent job, it needs to be done within the next 3 hours to 1 day, then we'll have an answer almost instantly. So when the person books it in, they will refer to the calendar and sort of see a calendar of open times. The manager has prompted everyone saying, if a job comes in, we're looking at approximately these times. So then the client services person will, the call center person will then tell them, hey, we're looking at about this time. At that point, so it's pretty much instant that you get the number. But then once the operation manager looks at it, who has a better idea of what's really going on, then the client gets another call with a more exact time. Because that's more of like a human issue, where clients, when they make a call, especially for an emergency, want to know straight away what time you're coming. So we sort of have to answer them, even though it's not totally accurate. It's, like it's may not be that time, but within about 10 minutes to 15 minutes, once the operation manager sees it, sees what resources there are, see what the capabilities are, does a call around with the team, that'll take about 10, 15 minutes. We can sort of get back to the client within 20 minutes saying, hey, we promised you 3, but it's going to be more 4 o'clock, or can you wait till 6 because we're totally out of people? Apologies about that, and we sort of get some feedback from the client at that point, but usually it's okay. Yeah.
And are there any certain skill levels, for example, of your trades? For example, some are plumbers, some can do roofs. Are there any of those types of skills that are taken into consideration when you schedule these people out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very, very, very specific. Yeah, very specific. Like in every kind of career. So if we, for example, if we send out a plumber, there's 22 different kinds of plumbers. Are they a gas fitter? Do they fix cooktops? Do they work in that area? Are they available in the next half an hour? What's their pricing like as well? So there's very strict criteria of that job and specifically who can go as well. Yeah.
Could you walk me through, and Alex probably will have more questions on this, how is that quoting determined? Is it the trades who are coming up with a quote, or is it you coming up with a quote?
So with the emergencies, we'll just give them a standard issue call out fee. Okay, hey guys, blah, 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 you want to book in? Then the call out, the inspection for us to go out there and have a look and then let you know what's going on and a price is a flat fee of like $49, $99, $149, whatever it may be, depending on the job. The office has a sort of criteria. If it's a roof job, it'll be a bit higher. If it's this kind of job, it's this much. If it's far out of town, it's a bit much. So generally the client gets like a flat call out fee. If the client wants, to talk directly to a, then you have the second kind of client that wants to talk to an actual tradesman. Then we sort of take their details and then get them in contact with one of our tradesmen. Or the third option is we have an online catalog as well. And we say, hey, this is a link, or we verbally tell them based on the catalog, this is the price that we think it's going to be. Or we give them a link to the catalog as well. And this new business has an online store as well. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And does the trades ever quote themselves, or is it all you giving the quote out to the customer?
Yeah, so with the more complicated jobs, so then if we go to a standardized job, the pricing will be kind of standardized. Like, this is what we're here for, this many minutes, we're doing this job. It's kind of a standardized price. The client is told everything up front. This is what we're dealing with. With the more complex jobs, we will tell the client up front, like, hey, you've got a roof leak. You haven't been on your roof. We don't know what the scopes of works are. We don't know what option you want to go with. Do you want a short-term, long-term, whatever? So, for us to give you a price would be, it's not going to be correct. And we also don't know what's the law. Like, there's a lot of laws around certain trades. We don't even know what the laws are based on what we're looking at. We have to make it compliant. That's based on a law. So then the client will be like, yep, okay, I'm happy to pay an inspection fee. And then we'll take the inspection fee and then get someone booked out there within that time frame that they want.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alex, any questions from the quoting side from you?
I have a quick question, actually, just to jump in there. Do they ever quote on site? Like, would it be that the tradie then, goes back to his van, whips up the quote, gets sign off? Like, how does that actually work in those more complicated jobs?
Yeah. So at the moment, so right now the way we run it is the way I've run it is so the tradesman will be on our chat, on our company chat. And the project manager, the call center, everyone's sort of there. And they'll be like, hey guys, on site, spoken to the client. This is what we've come to the conclusion of. This is what we think the price is going to be. This is what the margins that you guys usually charge. And they'll talk to us on the chat. Then using that chat, our office will take that quote and match it with our template that we have and make sure it all matches up. It goes back onto the chat. The plumber then looks over it, or whoever it is, and goes, yep, that sounds right. We've got everything there. The exclusions are there. All the risk factors are taken care of. And then they'll go back and forth for a few moments, a few times. It takes about 10 minutes. And then we'll be like, okay, we'll present it to the client as a formal thing. The client will then, also at that point, the office will grab that, put it into a template on our CRM, send it to the client as a quote and an invoice. The client then has to read it, go through the terms. Usually they'll do like a reply back saying accepted this job at this price. Sometimes they can't email, so then they'll do a voice recording. Our office will call and get a voice recording saying, hey, you accept this price, all that kind of. Then we go ahead and proceed with the emergency work. So because the reason we've done that is again, quality control. Like it's a huge amount of cost in the office to, rather than give the plumbers access to our CRMs and do it themselves, but the quality is high because it goes through our office middleman to make sure that they've ticked all the boxes and done all the right things. Yeah. So trusting tradies to do the right thing is not going to work.
100%. It's really funny. We have a lot of conversations with customers saying best practices, have that admin team, have dispatching, quoting internally, and then let the system book out the tradies, but we get a lot of pushback sometimes because they want actually the tradies to have, I guess flexibility, which is not a very scalable business model. So I think you're well aligned with the way that we look at field service and how to optimize that. So it'd be interesting. We'll show you down the track, obviously, how that works.
that's I think that's really is a point. Like scalable is the big key. So in terms of like as the business grows, having stuff available that are skilled in being able to do these processes is an extremely expensive fixed cost. You know what I mean? For the business just be sitting around and these jobs coming in and making sure that we have enough money coming in from these jobs to pay for huge number of staff, because it is all urgent. You know what I mean? So that was the dream, to make sure that enough jobs were coming in, our staff are highly trained, it all goes well, and it sort of runs well. You know what I mean? And that's the current process we have. I can't imagine a world where we'd be using AI or something like that to do that as of yet. You know what I mean?
Just out of curiosity, you mentioned that your operations teams books in these certain jobs, but then I also see on iSubby that you can have a look at all the available tasks and jobs. How does that kind of system work almost?
At the moment, it doesn't. Like at the moment, it's more just us once a job comes through, then we will the office staff will then contact these tradies manually, either through email or phone call or text as well, or even their chat systems, whatever means that tradie prefers. So then they're connected with our Google Chats. They're connected, we can text them if they're busy, whatever it may be. So that's pretty much how we do it. The iSubby, in terms of putting jobs up there and clients and subbies taking it on and stuff like that, it was only an experiment. I never liked it, but my management team thought it'd be great. But we're gonna probably scrap that. I mean, it's not a tradies just don't like to see that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They just don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? They much prefer the personal interaction, call them, text them, email them, that personal one-on-one interaction. They're willing to work with you. Once they're sort of chasing work and competing or bidding on site or all that kind of stuff, they're just not interested. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Got it. So the model moving forward, or the one that you're sticking with at least, is very much I've got a job, I'm going to allocate it to this tradie based on their availability, their skills, travel most likely, make sure they're in the right area, and then the tradie accepts or rejects it essentially, and then before proceeding to the next person.
Yeah.
So they know that they're second or third in the queue almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. The other question I had as well, you talked a lot about checklists and compliances, for example. So you have around 9 to 12K jobs per year, just depends on the time of the year as well. Once a tradie gets one of these jobs, how are they completing this job right now? How do they notify you when they arrive that they've done these certain steps? Like what are you currently using for that?
It's all done through the chat at the moment. So they're on the chat with us. All the tradies are communicating through us on the chat, or if it's more urgent or there's a bit of franticness between everyone, then they'll do it through phone. So office will call them and try to sort it out. Yeah. So that's pretty much all we have. You know what I mean? Like, and then to prompt the tradie, have you done this? Have you done that? That's all, again, done through the chat. It's kind of weird because I know a lot of companies what they do is they'll have like an iPad with their checklist, you know what I mean? And have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And I guess up till now we've been a bit more forceful and with the tradies and make sure that they do actually do it, not just tick a box. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Interesting that you say that. Is that because how does, let's say, chatting to them saying, have you done this task, for example, is it because they're providing like proof of photos, for example? Is it the real-time nature of those, I've done X, Y, Z, that helps be more compliant versus a checkbox, for example?
I guess you got the first, as they arrive on site, you got your first checkbox, which is your health and safety stuff. Are you wearing the right shoes? You know, if you've got dirty shoes, don't wear it inside the house. You know, wear gloves. You know, don't shake the client's hand. You know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Especially if you are in the messier trades. You know what I mean? Especially COVID. You know, all that kind of stuff. So you got your standard initial setup site, but once a job is gone ahead, that job, because we've done tens of thousands of jobs, each job is associated steps of compliance. So if we come into your house and we've got like, there's hundreds, just like if you've got a gas safety check and your gas stove is leaking, then we've got like a 32 steps that you must tick according to the government law, that every single one of those checklists have been done before you leave the house. So then the tradie has to acknowledge on the chat that I've done these 32 steps, you know what I mean? And the critical steps, they'll usually just take a photo, you know, bang, and it'll just upload to the chat anyway. Like they'll put a machine on the gas stove, and the gas stove will give a reading of, you know, what the thing is. And the more stricter we get, you know, if you've got a leaking stove in Melbourne, then after the stove is fixed, you have to use a gas sniffer, like it sniffs gas, and you put it around the stove. You have to wait there for a minute, and it'll give you a reading. So now we've got an even more stricter that they have to actually take a little video, you know, like 2 seconds, 5-second video. Just take a video and it just snaps onto the chat, you know. And we have to be really forceful about it because they just won't do it, you know. And they'll go home and go, oh, you know, I had 15 jobs to do today. I've been a tradie for 1,000 years. I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? I don't know why you got this rule. So then that's why we have so many office staff to make sure, hey, do you mind? We really need to do it before we leave, you know, to meet our company compliance, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all done through that chat system, yeah. And then that chat system is permanent record forever, so it's good. Yeah.
What's the chat system that you have?
It's just Google Chat. That's it. Google Chat.
Okay, Google Chat. That makes sense.
Mm.
And then once you're, oh, sorry, you go, Alex.
Sorry, just quickly on that part. You talked about how you know, they have to make sure they tick off all of these compliance tasks, right? So obviously one part of that is from a regulations perspective. The other part of it is probably from liability as well, so that, you know, if they're saying that they've done it and they turn around and they didn't do it, then, you know, don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But I imagine,
yeah, it's a very like, that's the hated part of me, is like essentially like every government authority knows me personally. Like you got VCAT in Melbourne, you've got Canberra Access these are the government authorities. You've got Fair Trading in New South Wales. Because we've done so many jobs and we have had disasters on site, they just come down on you like a ton of bricks. You know what I mean?
of course.
They're ruthless. They're like, I don't care if you did 15,000 jobs. You know, this should never happen. I mean, they just don't care. I mean, they're just completely not reasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm getting to with that is, because everything's done in Google Chat now, do you have the ability to, without leaning on gut feel on your ops managers, do you have the ability to say, you know, Tahar did X amount of jobs and these were the ones which he complied entirely with, and these were the ones he didn't comply with?
Yeah, it's a great question. This kind of tracking is so important because this kind of tracking is really important because we do have, it's so like, you know, how would you say, like low level technology. It's really terrible, but the way we track them is through Excel spreadsheet. That's how bad our systems are. So we'll have the tradie, we'll have their specifications about them, what they do. And then if they start to have every defect they have, no matter what, it gets put on their record, you know, and it's just an Excel spreadsheet, you know, and yeah, once they start to have 2, 3, 4, then we've got to, you know, we've got to sort it out. You know what I mean? Like, just, yeah, straight away. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Kim, I interrupted you before.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah. So yeah, just to say why we're still using Excel, it's just some of the parts of the company we just never have got around to. You know, like we just get stuck running the day to day. We just never get around to these critical aspects. You know, really, we should be using something that's a CRM for contractors. You know.
Just out of curiosity, do you have repeat customers? Because from the household side, my tap is broken forever. I go, unlikely for another year, I have another house issue, for example. But from probably your property manager side, do you have those like high frequency people?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So essentially when you know, especially the strata and the real estates, like no one can really match what we do. Like there's no one that has the ability to be able to, simply put it, if I'm a real estate agent, the last thing I'm worried about is trying to do a maintenance at my house that I look after, because there's no money in there for them at all. It's all in selling houses. So it's like the lowest of jobs for a real estate agent or a strata or anything. It's really annoying. The landlord wants the cheapest price and wants 3 quotes. The tradies don't want to do multiple quotes. They're just like, this is the price, you know, that's it. So there's this fight between everyone there. We've sort of smoothed out the whole process. So once the real estate gives it to us, they send us 1 email to give it to us, a 2nd email approved, and they're done. You know what I mean? So we've smoothed out all the pain points for them. So once we get them forever. You know what I mean?
Which systems are you using for all of those inquiries?
They just email us. Again, they email us to the operations chat. So they sort of know us as, they'll look at I'm a real estate agent, they're like, hey, I'm from Hardcourts Real Estate. Who's our preferred vendor? They'll see us there. They'll send us an email saying, hey, we've got this emergency. We'll get it straight to the operations chat. So all 17 people will get it. Again, it's the instant action. And they'll usually send a text message out to one of the managers or something, but half the time the managers are not around or something. So they're not able to do anything about it, you know, at that point.
Okay, that makes sense. And I also saw in the notes that you use Zendesk for some of the ticketing, particularly for new customers looking for tradesmen. How else are you managing these inquiries? Let's say I need a tradie. Where does this kind of go to?
I need a tradie. So I need a tradie. Where does it go to? At that point, yeah. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, so once an inquiry comes in, or if the inquiry comes to Zendesk, then someone will sort of take control of that customer at that point. We'll always have someone on Zendesk to be able to reply to them. And then we sort of, as a reassurance, will call the customer as well. You know what I mean? Which kind of could be annoying if you're a customer that doesn't want to be called and wants to only deal with over the phone. Over the internet. But most people are okay with it. I go, well, thank you for the confirmation. We've got someone coming. Or we'll try to, at that point, win them over. They might be just inquiring, you know, just getting a feel for us. Again, a little bit weak, very weak on our side, actually, our CRM, which is, we don't actually have a proper tracking system. So at that point, you'll have some clients that are really, really good high-ticket clients that are just searching on Zendesk or on Yellow Pages or these online inquiry platforms. And then so what pretty much happens is once they make the inquiry, it'll then, whoever's sort of taken that inquiry or whoever's responsible for it will then take over that job. They'll put it onto their personal sheet. Like, again, it's just a Google sheet. And they are now responsible to try to win that customer over. It could take a week, could take 3 weeks, could take 6 months, could take a year to hopefully get that customer over the line. But again, yeah, we should be using proper CRMs and stuff, which we don't.
That makes sense. So sometimes it's a very quick win for certain customers, like I've got my tap broken, I need you now.
Yeah.
And then there are sometimes that more sales process of winning.
Yeah, sales process where you just got to, the simplest way to put it is just be the loudest, chirp the loudest, until you get them over the line.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in terms of where you're storing your customer information, if let's say Jamie is a high value, high ticketed customer, how do you know, where do you go to research on Jamie internally?
Well, okay, so once the job is booked in and it's in the system and it's rolling, then it'll just be on a system called Arrowflow, which is just a CRM with certain enterprise resource management softwares in there. Not very sophisticated, just a basic software. And in terms of the ones that we're trying to sort of follow up over time, again, we're just using a shared Google Sheet. Each of the employees has one sheet on there, and it'll have need to call back in 6 months, this is your this is your that, and just have a sheet of like, it starts to add up to 100, 150 customers, 200 customers at times that they're just sort of chasing up. Yeah, definitely weak points in the company.
No, that's fine. It was just getting a good understanding as well as like how everything kind of works, and then how you're using your current systems. Is there any kind of main challenges you have right now in your technology? You mentioned a lot is around manual There's obviously a compliance piece as well. Any other kind of main areas that you're looking to replace or solve for?
Right now, yeah, so the scariest thing is compliance. Yep, which is also, you know, keep contacting the customer over a period of time until we do win them. Even after the quotes is done, sometimes we do quotes and they're like, oh, I'll afford it in a year or something, especially if it's a big roof or something. And again, they just forget who you are unless you contact them every 6 months or a year. They're like, oh yeah, I remember you guys, you were great. Thank you for contacting me. And then all of a sudden you've got a $30,000-$40,000 job, over the line. What else are we struggling with? So you've got your scariest thing is compliance. You've got that. You've got your call center coming through. I guess the follow-up and making sure that we have a good CRM for follow-ups and keeping the customer, nurturing the customer throughout the whole process, pretty much the heart of what Salesforce is based on. Because we do have a lot to offer in different, if you've got a leaking tap, you might have a heater issue in 3 months and we can do that as well, So, and then you got customers and then you got office, project management. Yeah, project management is a big issue as well. So project management is, so some projects are in stages. The larger projects happen over 1 or 2 different trades and they're staged in. We don't really have good project management software at the moment. So the CRM is really designed for urgent jobs only. So Aeroflow is our CRM. It's urgent only. Once you start getting to multi-stage jobs, then it's really basic, which is just we'll have calendar notes saying on the 17th of February, make sure that the bin has arrived on site for the tradies. And they'll put a scheduled reminder on the 16th. Someone on the chat will be like, hey, is the bin on site? If not, we need to urgently get one right now because it should be there. And if not, someone has to action it, So that's all we really have. Which is not good, especially for multi-stage jobs. And it requires a lot of mental work for the staff to read over the chats and, do all that kind of stuff rather than a proper project management software that most building companies have.
No, makes sense. I think the only other question I have from just the delivery of service side, do you have any kind of inventory, for example? Does your trade just have a whole set of inventory they keep to themselves and manage themselves, or do they need to expense that through you at all? I'm
trying to think. No, we've moved away from that. Initially, we did that for many years, for about 3 to 5 years, and then we found that the cost reduced a huge amount. If we used our material, obviously they'll use it, they'll take some of it, you know what I mean? Happens. And so to keep that relationship going, we were nobody, and then to get that relationship going, we have to sort of step in and take a bit of a hit. And then once we built a bit of a relationship with all these people, they started trusting us. Now they use their own material, which is a lifesaver, less project management for us. They know what they're using, saving costs. Everyone has turned out better for it, and better savings for the customer as well. So that's one thing, which I suppose takes me to the other end of things, which is once we, right now we're still in the middle ground. Once we hit a tipping point where as a society, people look at us and go, hey, these guys are great to work with, then we can sort of have a bit more leverage over the tradies and then get them to do, the right thing on site. And if the tradies like, man, I better do the right thing by these guys are the, they have the market, they have the majority of work, then they'll be more likely to do the right thing by us and there'll be less micromanagement. For now, because we don't have that leverage over the market, we haven't hit a tipping point where we have the market that we are micromanaging them, which costs more in office staff.
No, it makes sense. I think that's it from my side. It sounds like really visibility is also key in that compliance piece, and also just allowing all of your different teams to know where they're at any given point. So, that scheduling process from your operations teams to be able to book these jobs in as fast as they can, essentially, especially the emergency ones, by people's availability, their location, some of their skill sets, for example, and then providing some tools to your technicians to be able to take some photos and have that compliance and saved inside Salesforce.
Yeah, that's a perfect summary.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mm.
Alex, any questions from your end?
Yeah. So 3 more areas I'd just like to cover off, and hopefully we don't go down other rabbit holes. Conscious of time, of course. But one of the things I wanted to chat about is how your ops team currently putting the quotes together. Are you driving out of spreadsheets, or do you have it on like a system like Aeroflow or?
Yeah. So how do we put quotes together? So we'll when the tradesman's on site or there's a tradesman involved in one certain way or the other, we will ask him a set of questions on the chat or by phone or whatever it may be. And so you've got your chat. And the tradesman will answer those questions. That will give us a bit of an idea of the scope of works. We then take that scope of works that the person has given us and match it with a template of a job that we've done in the past that has our experience. It's got all our exclusions, it's got all our things we need to put in there and we forgot. And then they'll merge it together, put it back on the chat, and then this tradesman will read over it, or we ring them and say, hey, can you go over it with me? And get it. It's like a 2-step verification. We've got a project manager that has a bit of experience in trades, and then we've got a tradesman that is supposed to be an expert. And based on those 2 brains together and a template, we hopefully get the right product out there to the customer, the right quote out there to the customer.
Right. And how are you actually sending it out to the customer now? Is it just like an email or text message?
Email. Sometimes I'm not sure. I don't think so. We text, but at the moment it's email. Yeah, email. Yeah.
And is that just like a PDF, or is that like a zero link? Or
yeah, so it'll go out as an email. It'll sort of have all our templates and stuff in there in terms of our logo and everything. And I think it's just an attachment, to be honest. I think it's just an attachment from memory.
Okay.
And it'll be attached with the photos. If we've been on site, or if there's some kind of photos or some kind of research we've done, our photos will be there. If we've drawn up mud map, it'll be there. All our roof work is done by drones. So then we'll put a link with our drone footage so the client can see it as well.
Right, okay. And in the instance where it's like an emergency work, right, and you have that kind of standard rate card depending on, a number of factors like complexity, distance, metro versus regional, as well as the type of work, plumbing versus sparky versus roof work, that standard pricing that the team draw from, is that in an Excel spreadsheet, or are they looking at previous job templates again? Like, how do they determine after asking the questions of the customer, how are they structuring and building out a quote?
Oh, okay. So initially the customer will be given a couple of options. Do you want us to come out and give you a quote? That'll be a cost. Or do you want us to give you a bit of an approximate? Or do you want to speak to someone that's a tradesman? So whichever option they choose, we do have a pricing catalog that will give them like a bit of a ballpark figure based on what they've told us, saying, we're only going by what you say, but what you say, we're looking at these other prices. So they'll look at a catalog, and that's it. That's all we have for now. But the new website has a online store the prices are there for everyone.
Right. Okay. And when you provided that estimate, do you get them to provide any sort of acceptance, written or verbal, before you actually commit a tradesman to come out? Or tradesman, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's only a phone recording at that point most of the time. Yeah, at most of the time at that point, it'll just be a phone recording saying, hey, the client has accepted the terms and conditions over the phone, and it's recorded, and they know it's recorded. There's a spiel that we go through. And then at that point, the client will get a text message that your job's been booked in with a booking text, and they'll get an email as well, and some fun videos about our company and what we do and what to expect when the customer gets there, and just to watch that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much it at the moment. We have we have tried some pretty cool stuff in the past, and it's worked really, really well, which was I just can't get everyone to implement it. Like, it's really weak from the company, which is we actually make a chat for the customer and add them into it, so they can communicate to everyone within the company that's relevant to that job on that chat. It's a client-only chat. They can't see the in-house chat about them, but it's a client-only chat. And they're like, how far are you? Where's the tradie? This is what I've got the problem. While he's there, can you see this for me? I'm going to be gone shopping for 15 minutes, whatever. Everybody's involved in that chat saying, yeah, no problems. And that's worked a mint, but it's like the weakness from our own company and the staff that they're not pushing that forward. It's just a link that we send to the client to enter that chat.
Right. Okay. And in terms of actually paying, so if I got one of your tradespeople to come out and fix up a busted pipe in my toilet or shower, or in the wall, I should say, when I need to make the payment, what is that? Do I just get an invoice from the tradie on site, or from you guys back in the ops center?
Yeah, from the ops, we'll send you an email. We also, if the email can't be read for some reason, we'll send a text out to their phone, so they can open that link on their phone. They can just pay it either through email or their phone, or if they're older or they're not comfortable with whatever they've got, they can just do it over the phone. So
that email or text that comes out with a link to open to a web page, is there like a credit card form there?
Yes,
or
credit card, yeah. Credit card. And they can do BSB if they open up their invoice. They can do BSB. They can do credit card or whatever it may be. But usually, especially with emergencies, it's all on the spot. Like, they've called us, we're there within half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour, where we've assessed the job. The tradie might turn off the emergency, isolate it. At that point, they'll say, hey, I've got to get you a quote. If you're happy with it, then we've got about 10 minutes at that point while the tradie's sorting out a quote. That's the limit that we put on the office. Make sure you get it out within 10 minutes. And then the client will get that quote, and then they have to sort of make an informed decision in all, to make sure that they don't have any buyer's regret, any issues, I didn't expect this. They have it all there in writing, that this is exactly what's happening. They can accept it over the phone or by email, but we present everything up front so we don't have any legal issues and consumer affair issues in the future.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And the last part I kind of wanted to touch on is something that you talked about at the very beginning, which is around the fact that you guys are like the leaders in the space because you have so many data points that you can lean on to understand pricing and complexity, and also from obviously a compliance perspective. But how do you report on those data points? Like, what are you trying to visualize and report on with some of those data points? Can you give me an example of one that you would look at regularly or is quite critical to your business?
Data points. I might not be answering your question properly, so you can answer it if I can try again. But data points are more like what happened on that side that led to an issue, whether it's a disgruntled customer, whether it's, we've cleaned a drain out and it's left a bit of a mess. Do we need to put another criteria that after you've done the drain, and is there a better way to clean it than using this machine? Should we try a manual machine, not a wet machine? So we'll try to, that's a data point, I guess. That's the data points I'm talking about, the quality of work, the quality of the customer experience. I'm not sure if I answered it properly. Did I get it wrong? Or
Yeah, I mean, I guess with all of those data points you're collecting, you're obviously using that to pivot the business strategically so that you can offer a high quality service that people expect from your brand, right? So we encountered this issue, it started to build a trend, but how do you actually see that trend? Like, how are you do you have any sort of reporting tools that you use at the moment where you're pumping in all this information you're collecting to kind of give you like a trending or forecast of?
Yeah, it's a great question. To be honest, I really should be doing it. The only trends we look at is the marketing side, which is, okay, we've put this ad out and then we follow the ad, how many phone calls we got, how many conversions we got, how many bookings we got, how many sales we got, and how much money we made out of it per thing. You know what I mean? That's the only thing we look at, which is a manual process at the moment. Again, we just go to Google Accounts, see what the calls came in. Then we go into our Aeroflow, see what jobs came in. Sorry, our VoIP system, and see what converted. Then we have to go to Aeroflow and see how much, which ones we won, and then how much money came through, that one as well. So that's the only reporting system that we sort of have at the moment. Apart from that, it's very, if there's an issue on site, we try to fix that problem right away. But at the same time, straight away, our checklist gets updated instantly, to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. And the last thing, because you mentioned it before, I had a mind blank, but it's come back to me now. Your ops center staff, you said that they have to, for emergency jobs, get it booked in and they're trading committed within 10 minutes. That's kind of like the commitment you make to your customers, if I'm not mistaken.
Not so much. So when the customer calls us, we'll try to give them an approximate time.
Okay, yeah.
Then someone with a bit more understanding of the company, the operations manager, will then try to use the team to delegate it, and then give the customer another update within 20 minutes. We want to give them a more accurate time.
Okay.
And then
how can you currently how do you currently monitor that performance and whether or not you're actually hitting that number in terms of how many customers are getting that call back within 20 minutes versus how many are outside that 20-minute window?
It's all just sort of visual, just hopefully to see what the complaints are from customers, really, the feedback. Feedback. We try to keep an extremely strong feedback loop, like all the time. In every action we do, is just give me your feedback, give me your feedback, give me your feedback everywhere. In every given point, just trying to get feedback. So it's all manual, very, non-technology kind of stuff with that kind of stuff. So, but you get like the 10-minute figure came from when we've come to your house and you're a client, you don't want your plumber or whoever it is to be sitting in the car for half an hour trying to figure out a price, So that's why we give a 10-minute time limit. Like we need to get something out within 10 minutes. That's as accurate as possible. So that's our 10-minute. But then again, the feedback's very, very quick because plumbers are super impatient. Emergency people are super impatient. So they'll complain to me or the company saying, hey, I've been here 15 minutes, and I'll hear about it eventually,
Yeah.
And I'll try to track back to it,
I think that's pretty much it from my side. This has been incredibly insightful, by the way, and I think for Kim and I, the gears are really turning on how we can play back something.
I guess the only thing, my biggest fear that I suppose I haven't mentioned is as we're moving forward into the new world and as AI comes in, AI will potentially in the next 3 years take millions of data points of our phone calls, our VoIP phone calls, and listen to it all, and then be able to talk to customers without a customer service center. You know what I mean? And maybe even take our thousands and thousands of email interactions and be able to reply automatically. Super harsh, but in terms of costs and the cost of labor and people and being able to find people to work, and people want more sophisticated jobs and higher pay, these basic roles, I'm afraid that if we don't do it, we're going to get outpriced, because the cost is exponentially high. So I guess that's what I'm just hanging out for, like something that your brains know that I don't, that we can sort of walk into that new world in the next 3 to 5 years. There's a lot of hype around it right now, but there's nothing really practical as of yet. But something will come up, I guess.
Yeah, I think I guess to kind of talk to that point just really briefly, I guess one of the things that we have available on our platform is called Einstein. So it is our on-platform artificial intelligence that continues to build its model and learn from the data inside the CRM. But one of the new things that we recently announced at the beginning of the month is Einstein GPT. So I'm not sure if you follow like the AI news, but there was something called Chat GPT.
Oh yeah, definitely do. Yeah, definitely do.
Yeah. So effectively it's that, but we've now begin to incorporate it with our product suite of like sales and service. And we might not go down this path of necessarily demonstrating it, but in terms of that scalability for your business and to kind of put that to address it as well, it basically will allow a couple of different avenues, and it will only get stronger and better. One of the ways currently it's being utilized is agent efficiency. So, for example, if somebody calls in or if they have a live chat session with one of your agents on your website, as an example, it can really quickly understand what they're talking about and give agents who may not be fully skilled up yet the ability to handle low-level, inquiry.
Yeah, like a support
Through
staff.
AI.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
support staff for the staff. Yeah, like a
Yeah,
second
exactly.
decision maker. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
That will definitely be helpful now. And and like, you know, the way I figure, you know, a transfer of systems or upgrading systems, you know, that costs well over, you know, in my past it's cost, you know, these things can cost over $1 million plus training the staff and everything, you know. So I'm sort of looking at, okay, in 3 to 5 years when there is these real big things may happen, I want to be able to compete with other companies in terms of pricing.
Yeah, of course. And look, the great thing with the Salesforce platform, like having been a customer myself, which is something really reassuring from a commercial standpoint, is the fact that we do 3 major upgrades on the platform every year. And those upgrades, assuming you have the license for that product, is at no cost to you. So your system that you're investing in now is going to continually evolve over time. And then when you're ready to maybe add on additional things, it's as simple as kind of like plugging it in.
I guess that's just like I'm a platform, you guys are a platform that we want to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we may have missed? I'm just conscious.
No, that's pretty much a summary of it. Like, feel free to ask me any questions, like whatever it may be. I'll answer them openly, and that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Victor. I really appreciate it. I'll pass it over to Tahar to close up.
Yeah, a couple of questions, maybe, you know, from my end, you know, like around more, you know, less technical, but much more, you know, like around the overall organization. Like, so you mentioned a lot of people, you know, a lot of departments, a lot of things. Can you explain us a little bit of like the organization of the company, like top to bottom, you know, like how, you know, like your departments work together? Like you mentioned last time about a management team, you know, like when you review a potential new system, how does that work? Can you give me a bit of context around that?
I guess we still, like, we're a team of, you know, employees. We're about 55, but we pretty much act like a startup. I mean, like, we pretty much have that startup mentality throughout our organization, you know. I hope that answers the question. You know, essentially, you know, we're very quick to move on things. We change things quickly, and we just don't. We know that things can collapse overnight in any organization, so we're always ready to be changing things all the time. So essentially, decisions are essentially just through me, and then I've got my support staff to make decisions and whatever. You know?
Okay. And
so,
like
and we've got a standard organization. You've got your different departments. You know, you've got your call centers, you've got your IT section, marketing. You know, you've got your, I guess, stuff that all organizations have.
Okay. And who makes up, you know, your management team? You know, like when you decide those things, you know, like how do you come up, you know, with that?
So I've got my people that have been around for a long time, and we just sort of go, hey, this is what we think, and then we'll throw it to our staff and go, hey, what, you know, this is what we're going to try to do. What have we missed? How is this going to affect your life detrimentally? How is it going to affect your work? And we sort of try to get some feedback from everyone and get everyone on board, make a decision. This is what I think. Try to sell them on the idea, maybe make a call like this and get them on board and what the philosophy is, and just see what we've missed, you know, and what we've missed, and you know what, yeah, pretty much what we've missed, you know what I mean? And get people on board as well, you know, to rather than, yeah, and that's pretty much, I guess, how we make decisions as a team, which is, yeah, I guess that's it. It's quite, that's pretty much it. I guess we sort of think between each other and then go, okay, well, what does everyone else think? What is the points that we could be, you know, the cons of this, the pros of this? How does it affect your life? Is it going to reach our goal? Do you have a better idea of how to reach our goal? And that's it. And then we just sort of make a decision based on how much money we have and what we're trying to achieve as a company.
Sorry, guys, I do need to hop off. It's a pleasure meeting you, Victor. Really looking forward to showing you what we can.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, just few more. You don't have a hard stop, you know, now? Can we go for like a few more minutes?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Perfect. You know, with Jamie as well. So like, obviously, you know, like here, you know, like I know, you know, like I know how they work. Alex and Kim, you know, all the information that you shared, you know, like their brain is starting already, you know, like to activate, and so many things that we can present you the next time, and we really look forward to it. Now, you know, like that will be a project, you know, like, so like we'll need, you know, involvement from your team as well. But what we do is that I mentioned last time that we've got implementation partners that are specialized on Salesforce and as well, you know, like have experience on like the kind of job that you're doing, that we have worked, with other companies that need people on the ground with tradies and everything. And I mentioned last time, with Metropolitan Plumbing, which is one of our many customers who are using our platform on the service side and scheduling and on site, with the app and everything. But there's many others. How do you foresee on your end, like the stakeholders that will be involved in that project, providing the information, the feedback, should you decide to move forward with that? Who will have the lead, I would say, on that? I'm conscious, obviously, that as a head of the company, I know you might be busy and all, so how do you see that happening?
Implementation.
Yeah, on the implementation side, on your end,
implementation. So we have implemented things in the past, so we are a little bit confident with it, even though it's kind of scary implementing anything. Definitely is. So I'll use my experience through implementation, which is, get a fully functional system going and run them side by side. That's how I like to do it. So run both systems at once, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like both, like your current one and potentially implementing the Salesforce.
Yeah,
that's what you mean.
Yeah. So usually I like to do that because I don't want to damage customers in the meantime.
No, of course. No, look, and on that side,
so usually,
sorry.
usually we have to. Anytime we've done it, which was about 5 or 7 years ago, which was any changes we made was, I guess we just hired more staff, got everyone ready psychologically, did a side-by-side system. It's quite expensive learning process for everyone involved, because we have to change our procedures and systems and recordings and trainings and programs and everything to suit for the new staff as well. And then, yeah, I've got a team that's been with me for a while, so some of them know what it takes. The pain of grinding through change.
Yeah. Now, look, on that side, there's no issue. Obviously, as I mentioned, that you've got implementation specialists that we're working, with you, and we'll present a couple of them, down the track, who've implemented, again, Salesforce, the services that you're looking at for the similar industries, so have great experience. Change management is part of that, so we're not going to turn off your existing system and like there will be a gap. No, obviously they will work together. It was more an understanding around who will be the main person driving the project. I would say,
So we've got a lady called Mary. We've got a lady called Len, Len.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else is our main person?
What are the positions? So, I think you mentioned Mary was on the customer service side.
She's she's more of a closer to helping me with everything at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So overall company workflow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
And Len?
Len works in our research department, so just does research all day. Yeah. So
research of what do you mean by research?
Everything we need to before we spoke to you guys, Len would be the one trying to find anything that we need. We'll do research, so any product, any change, what's happening, any kind of research, literally just a research person, you know what I mean? And has become good at implementation as well.
Okay.
And then, I guess they're probably the main people. And we've got a whole string of people, but they're the ones that's with experience. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, who else do I sort of know that can handle this kind of stuff, that has previous experience? Probably they're the main two, and then they have all their support staff and everything, but are not as strong-willed as them, in terms of pushing it through. Yeah.
No, cool with that. So obviously here as well, you've got iSurvey, you've got a number of landing pages, with different trading names depending of the departments and all. What is the under what I would say, what is the main company that you're trading as? I would say the background with related to your ABN and all. If we speak to you guys, for example, I'm speaking to you, you represent a number of websites, with hundreds, if not thousands, of tradies and all. What's your company, name, at the background?
I guess to the subcontractors, we're known as iSubby. And to the clients, we're known as whatever landing page they landed on.
Okay. So then, your documentation, your marketing and all, it's based on that as well?
Yeah. But in the future, as of now, and starting as of, this Friday, it's all going to change to Holy Mess repairs, everything, every website, every entry point, exit point. Yeah.
That's so good. And like the ABN and oil, like, so is that the official name as well?
Yeah,
ISOB?
That's no. Everything will change to Holy Mess Repairs.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
That sounds good. And maybe Jamie as well, feel free to jump in. I think you were about to catch a plane or something like that, but around like budget, like and allocating the like the resources, and I would say, like the budget, for that project, it's something that I'm extremely confident, and obviously like Jamie's got more experience on the service side, that like you will get that return on this investment very quickly, and you will see that just at the demo, like how like you're able to cut down manual processes and all, and if you double or triple your workload, like you won't have to double or triple your people inside, so like you'll be able like to really scale. I remember that was something in place. So but in terms of budget, like where are you standing, like how would you work around that, like how far are you keen like to go with regards to that?
In my estimates, system changeover will cost the company, in excess of about 1 million to, I'd say more around the 1.2 million, because it's a lot of implementation in the company. That's the paying part, which is, that we can do everything we can as management and software engineers and all that kind of stuff, but it's really the staff that's the issue, getting them trained on the new systems, testing the new systems and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of downtime in the company getting all that ready, So we're almost running two companies at once, in my experience, when it comes to something like this.
Okay.
That's my experience of things. It's quite a serious move,
Yeah.
That's how much money I've got to set aside.
And I'll just jump in. I appreciate that change management, especially in the industry that you're in. That's the area we always see. We get a lot of pushback from technicians, and I know obviously the implementation partner sometimes spends a lot of time on site doing user training again and again, just to get, like I'm doing one right now with an NDIS provider, and they're not very tech savvy, quite an older workforce, maybe quite different actually to the makeup of ISOB, but similar, I think, in the way of, teaching them to use technology. I mean, they're certified tradesmen. They're not tech, they're not into tech. So totally can appreciate that. I guess on our end, I just wanted to give you some idea around licensing and cost for implementation, just to be transparent up front from what the start of this project would cost. Now, we've obviously only discussed, and sorry, I'm at the airport, so
That's okay.
can you guys hear me okay?
We can still hear you. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay, cool. So initially, we've obviously only discussed for a couple of hours here today, so don't know the full scope of the project, but Salesforce is a per user basis as a general rule. So for subcontractors, tradies, anyone who's considered casual staff, we have what's called a field service contractor license, which is $70 Australian per user per month. That includes access if you want to use it to like a portal. So some people like their subcontractors to access a portal to accept jobs, update their availability, all of that. That's all included with that contractor license. And then for office staff, this is something we'll need to work with you on to who needs to access what. But again, as a general rule, any kind of back office quoting, scheduling, dispatching staff that you have, their license is some type of Service Cloud license and or field service license that are at list price. I think it's 210 Australian per user per month. Now, we work with small, medium businesses, like Tahar and I mainly, and so we can put forward a discount. This is based on volume of users, length of contract, and sign-off date. So we can work through that as part of this. We're happy to be super upfront with commercials. And then as Tahar mentioned, the second cost is implementation. So for field service implementation, they can really range. I would say most projects are between 50 and 120,000 for that setup fee from a third-party implementation partner. But again, we haven't spoken enough about probably all the requirements, and we typically do like to, if you're open to it, do a ride along with how you're using Airflow today. I've done a lot of projects moving customers over from Airflow, and it's always very interesting. They use it very differently. Sometimes it appears very project management heavy. Other times it can be used for scheduling, but what they really lack is optimization, which I think will be really interested to see when we play it back to your demonstration. But yeah, I just wanted to give you some estimates around costs and see if you had any questions. I know there's been a lot of information, but the session we just asked you questions.
I guess I'm not worried about that weekly or monthly cost. That's fine. That doesn't, no worry about that. I'd be more, I guess, setting money aside for the big cost, which is implementation. The cost of implementing, getting a third party to optimize and everything. And in my experience, it can blow out a lot, you know what I mean? So, and the biggest cost is going to be the actual company and the staff, which is, I would say I'd have to train almost, a quarter more staff, like add 25% of a workforce at minimum, get them trained for 3 to 4 months, and then start implementation, run both at the same time, tweak all the issues out, get everyone learned, get the procedures out, and everyone's on the same page and we're confident, and then transfer to the new system. That's my experience of doing it safely, you know what I mean? To keep customers happy as well, without, the company completely crashing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, the partners will get pretty involved in that process. So they would be the ones doing the user testing, the training. If you want, they can even transfer all the data from the old system, depending on what you want to bring over from Airflow. So that's definitely something that a partner can do the heavy lifting for. Now, obviously, your staff is going to be involved in that training.
Yeah,
so
staff is the biggest cost.
That's the biggest cost. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the biggest cost.
That's something we're used to. The change management will guide you through that, and like you don't have to do as much as what you mentioned. That's something that we take, like between Salesforce and the implementation partner. But that was, related to my question before: who will be driving that project internally? Who can we lean on, like to take the leader to take the lead to get the right people across the table and push like the knowledge, I would say.
I guess strategy will be run by me. I want to take the safer route, and take time, but the people that are involved in the crust bit will be people like Mary and Len, and we have others, but they're not as as good at pushing things over as they two are.
Okay. No, cool. So look, if that's good with you, like we can lock a time, maybe in 2 weeks from now, so that we'll get the team to work on the demo. How does the Thursday, the 30th of March, on the afternoon, say 1:30 or something like that?
That seems all right. Let me just check. So got Tuesday. Yes.
Hey, Tahar, before we book that in, we, if possible, I'd like to get a look at Airflow. So book that in as the next step with the SEs.
Okay, cool. So what would that be, like about an hour or something like that?
Yep, we could just do like a screen share, and I don't know if it makes sense for you, Victor, or maybe like someone who does the scheduling. It ranges on.
I was working myself with this for many years.
Okay,
so
cool.
I can do it, and I can get one of the girls to do it, or either one. But I know how it works.
Happy for
happy
for whoever you think makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe in that case, like we could lock something, next week. So that would be an hour
from Tuesday. What is it? Tuesday. Oh yeah, actually, let me just get the right dates. anything after the 29th, I'm available.
Anything after the 29th.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that would there be just an hour for that? So basically, the way we work here is that we'd like to lock an hour where you can show us, like how you're working things, and do a ride along. So basically, you share your screen, show us, and then from there we fully understand and we can fully customize the demo. It's just an hour of your time, and I see one spot available next week, which is on the Wednesday from 3 to 4.
I think I might struggle this week because I have to deal with our own change right now with this website. So I don't want to really overbook it at this stage. Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean next week and not this week.
Yeah. So I think I will struggle, to be honest. Like I can't. And it's going to be pretty much 29th onwards is when it'll settle down.
So then so then we can lock it at 1 p.m. on the 29th.
Yeah.
That works with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll lock that in. So basically it's a ride along. So we'll just, come again, and if you can share your screen and show us, how you work things, at the background, then, from there, we'll be able to really provide, that additional feedback and I would say, set up a really customized demo around your processes and provide some recommendations.
All right. Now, thank you so much, guys. It's been, thank you for your time and expertise and knowledge and everything. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks so
I'll
much.
be in touch and I'll send you the invite for the 29th. Okay.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thanks, Victor.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.